Look at this page and turn it over real quick. The 10 dimensions of wellness fit with our memory care at home. The medical connection. There's not going to be a nurse's cart going up and down a hallway, because that makes you think of the health center or of a hospital or of some place where they're sick and they need all these meds. And actually, I was so surprised. We have been racking poor Debbie's brain for a day now. But she said in a lot of those places, they don't need medications. They don't need things to help them sleep and things to keep them awake and things to alter their moods and alter their anxiety. Because we're doing it with our program. We are making that much of an impact with what we do. She said we don't need it. We don't have to get little prescriptions. The physical connection. We have to connect with them physically, but they probably do not know the word therapy. They don't know the word exercise. They might know gardening. They might know mowing grass. They might know shoveling snow. They might know if they were Girl Scouts, maybe they did bird watching, walk through the woods, those kinds of things. So we have to find ways to physically connect and get them active and moving. The emotional connection. Well, you know, I've been using the example of when you have a bad day and you come in and we vent, and we all vent, and don't tell me that you don't, because I vent just as much as anybody else. But when you're like, oh, can you know what my husband did last night and blah, 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 that resident gets right about it, and they're like, yeah, he's a bad guy. What are you doing? You know, so they feed off of you. They feed off your emotions. I can tell by almost every single one of you who's been working late, who hasn't, who's stressed out, who's not, by the way we look, the way our faces respond. And if I need your help, and I go up to Joyce and go, can you help me? You know, what is her impression of that? You know, versus I'm like, oh, Joyce, come on, will you please? And, you know, you just have to have that kind of connection with the people to entice them to do things. When you look at the mental connection as well, the same thing when they get stressed, when they're anxious, when they're nervous, when they show fear, and you're like, why are you freaking out? You know, they're going to read that off of your face, but also they're not going to understand that you're there to help them and calm them. And being fearful maybe just means that you need to change the subject. In their brain, somehow, you need to find that connection. And if you know their history, if you know, maybe it has to be that we give them their favorite food. I know we had chocolate in many offices as one of our past residents. That was what it took, was just something to just, you know, they focused on unpackaging it and taking it out and getting the piece right. And next thing you know, that fear was gone. Just something that distracts them. The social connection. What parties? You know, are they basketball fanatics? Are they Super Bowl people? Do they have special family things that they used to do? Did they always go up to Pokagon, you know, the third week in August and have a party? If those things happened in their lives, we need to know it. We need to know it. When are their birthdays? You know, we don't have like these big joint birthdays. We have, today is your birthday. Those kinds of things. The intellectual connection, how can you connect with them finding their skills? If they were a tradesman, if they were a carpenter, if they were an electrician, if they sewed, if they did crafts, pretty soon it'll be, how, you know, what computer did they use? Were they a tablet user? Were they a this user? You know, we have to find ways to connect with these people and to give them things to do. Jeff may have a bucket of bolts and screws and that he could care less what happens to. He's going to think, hey, I'll take a load of the memory care and I'm going to have John sort all this stuff out for me because I spilled it yesterday, and we just now gave John a purpose. And maybe even helped in a job that needed to be done. So stuff like that. A secretary or receptionist. Joyce a lot of times has extra paper and stuff left out over in the cupboard. Well, instead of recycling it, she might say, all right, I'm going to take it over to so-and-so and let her sort and file it and close it and open it and do whatever. So the occupational side also comes with not necessarily what they did past as in a job, but occupationally what they can do today. Self-care, self-worth. And I'm not saying that we don't spoil our residents, but in a way we kind of do. We spoil them. And the problem with spoiling them is we enable them to not take care of themselves. Do you think they could change their own light bulb? Could they change their own things? Absolutely. We have to find ways to give them self-worth. And it's going to be hard because it's a whole different kind of concept as far as what we do for them, or think about how we're going to do it with them. You know, and it's a lot easier. A lot of you are so driven by your got it done, check it off. It's going to be easier to do it yourself, but you're going to have to think differently. You're going to have to think, okay, this is their activity today. All they may do today is help me put the towels away in the cupboard. So even though it might take them 25 minutes to do it, and I can do it in 2.5 seconds, this might be what they do today to participate. Emptying the trash, you might have the same trash bag go from every resident in every room, but if it's functional for somebody to do, pushing the cart and dealing with the trash, that's what they may do. Looking at spiritual connections, do you know the religious beliefs of the residents? Do you know who's Catholic? You should know now, your residents. You should know who goes to communion, who doesn't, who wants to go to service on Sunday, who doesn't. You know, you have to know those things. You have to know. We're in the season of Lent. You know, do they eat? What do they not eat because of the season of Lent that we're in? Those are all things that are going to be key. The environmental safety concerns, the building itself is beautiful. It has windows everywhere. If you can see, there's lots of natural light. There's even uplight that comes around. The rooms have the same concepts of lots of big lights. And maybe we're even working on like a bench seat so they can sit close to the window and get those views. The memory garden will be all inner covered. It's potentially even going to have a car in it. So if they used to work in a car and finagle with parts, or want to sit in there and roll down their window and turn on the radio, it's not going to move. We haven't gotten that far yet. But the environment itself, one of the windows we're looking at bringing a lot of nature in, you know, because we'll have the woods. We're looking at bird feeders, but not only that, but how can we bring the sounds in? So we're going to get a speaker system that has the outside sounds of nature coming in. How many of you sleep better when it's raining? When you have storms or just a steady rain, you know. Sometimes that's relaxing to them, and you might find that somebody wanders down and they get right up underneath that sound, and boom, you know, they feel comfortable. It's a good surrounding. The financial connection is we want to make sure that we're giving the families the security of a home for their loved one. We want to make sure that they financially can stay, work through all of our different stages of dementia, and we also want to make sure that the value that we give is higher than anybody else's. Because they do pay a lot, they are investing a lot of money, and they want us to do what they can't do or don't have time to do. Okay, what questions do you have? Do you see how this can kind of be modified into your daily job now? Do you see, and a lot of you, I guarantee you're already doing it and you don't even know it. You know, when you take those extra 2 seconds to listen to a resident and then you make a connection with that resident, that's part of this. If there's a resident and he comes in and you know that he's going to like something a certain way or ask you for something and you work with them to get it done, that's part of it.
Part of the goal for this whole process of memory care is, you know, beyond just memory care. You know, our goal and our hope is that this mindset and this change in culture and this change in the way we interact with individuals will expand itself out through the whole campus, so that our focus is really to try to give this level of quality of life to everyone that we take care of, not just those individuals inside the memory care unit.
How many of you think that we have residents in the retirement center and health center now that have Alzheimer's or dementia? All right, and that number is going to grow. The statistics are
Right now, around 5 million people diagnosed in this country with some form of Alzheimer's or other dementia. That number is going to triple by the year 2015, or 2050. So it's going to just be explosive through our communities, through our healthcare systems. These folks are going to be everywhere. So it is really important that we all learn and educate ourselves about how to appropriately and therapeutically take care of these individuals.
Do you have any other questions? Anybody? If you have more questions, get with us. You know, Amy also, or whoever your department head is. This is an approach, and I've heard just from the other talks, you know, well, it seems like it's something like Eden or something like the fish program or some of the other things we have. In a way, yes, it probably is, but in another way, we're taking it to the next level, and we're taking it to a facility that's gonna be very functional, and it's gonna be different and separate. And we need it, because if we don't keep those people longer in the retirement center, being active and doing more, we're gonna have too many coming this way and not enough staying in our system. So our goal is to keep them healthy and active. All right. Make sure you signed in on the sheets and